Welcome to From Tech Developer to Real Estate Developer. Here you'll go from making ends meet behind a keyboard to living in true freedom by using real estate well. Never having to work a full-time job, report to a manager, or give your adult life to a corporation that probably doesn't care about you. We will give you everything you need for your journey: techniques, principles, real-world experience, and application, filtered through 5 key power principles from my book, People Power, Other People's Money, How to Win, Enjoy, and Reserve. Get ready to take notes. Let's jump into From Tech Developer to Real Estate Developer. Welcome to From Tech Developer to Real Estate Developer. I'm Ivan. I have a great guest here today, Joseph Carter. I'll go ahead and jump into his introduction. He has done 35 commercial establishment build-outs and grand openings for luxury gyms and hotels. Think about like Lifetime Fitness. And he bumping into folks like Lifetime Fitness owners and investors. It caused a turning point in his life. He said, I want to get into this stuff. And in 2018, he started his first venture into multifamily by purchasing and renovating his first duplex. Although there was a setback with his mentorship company in terms of real estate investing, he still pushed forward, decided to resign from his job, and acquired his first flip property for $180,000. Even with all other setbacks, he still pushed forward and met a developer in Florida over a podcast. He just called this guy and said, hey, man, let's collaborate. Next, move forward with just 4 weeks notice to Florida with no job or income lined up. And he helped 75 families' homes recover from Hurricane Ian. That alone is pretty awesome, gratifying work. But then he managed and built about 20 new construction homes. This dude has been killing it. I love his intensity for life. There's not a lukewarm bone in his body. Welcome to the podcast, Joseph Carter.
Hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Would you like to add anything to that intro? I'm sure I missed quite a bit of your life there.
Hey, I mean, it's been a as you got a nice outline. It's been a ride. I mean, really, from the mentorship failing, and I had a one-on-one mentorship, which was a substantial $70,000 investment. They ended up pulling the rug out. That kind of ended up a kind of a fallout where I needed to push forward. No matter what, with a mentor or not, I had to push forward. So without that mentor being there, like I said, I secured that $180,000 house, run through that a few times, been through, tripled and stumbled my way through it, got through that. And I mean, I ended up in Florida, living out of my car for 60 days, throwing it all in, not giving up. No matter what happens in life, I'm going all the way. So from the car to anywhere, and now I'm standing up on my 2 feet, and I'm not stopping. I'm not stopping.
That's beautiful, bro. I can't wait to deepen into that conversation of what causes you to be such an amazing person and just push forward no matter what. But I'll go ahead and quickly outline the time we have together for especially people just stepping into this for the first time, this podcast. There's a 5 keys to basically leaving your job, whatever you want to do in real estate investing. Live a passive life. There's the POWER acronym. So people power, other people's money or resources, winning, enjoying, and reserve. So let's jump into people power first of all. Man, what inspired you? It has to be people that supported you and inspired you to be such a badass dude. Talk to me about that, bro.
So the people really, I've always looked up to all the greats, honestly. Grant Cardone was really one that was a big inspire to me early on. But even just the Carnegies, like I've studied real deep into history. And I really, it made me inspired to push much bigger than where I grew up from. Where I grew up from was real small town. Everyone was real average. And I was always looking to make a huge impact in life. So I really just surrounded myself with knowledge, with books, with podcasts, and was nonstop self-development. And this really just lit a spark. And I just started to then attract more people in my life that were in positions that I wanted to get to. And we would just have conversation after conversation that would just lead to a new door, a new way of investing, a new way of thinking, a new way of tax code to look at it. And it all just started to really compound. And people are what drives me. And at the end of the day, I want to become the best man I can to help deliver myself to the world.
Indeed, man. And we never know that how far the journey and the difficulty going just a little bit further. Clearly, you went a lot further than the average person. So I want to, since you mentioned history, I want to draw it to an example of Alexander the Great. So his arch nemesis was Hannibal. And I don't know if you followed them, but there was one battle where Alexander the Great, they went back and forth over some Alps, some mountains. And Alexander the Great actually had him in a kind of a cornered position. But Alexander the Great was like so exhausted and fatigued, even though Hannibal lost all the forces so like if Alexander just went after him at that point, he would have just won out and got Hannibal finally. Alexander decided to turn around. And he's like, nah, man, we already spent too much here. There's too much work here. Let's just go. So, man, so thanks for pushing forward, even when I'm sure you had lots of emotions going on. Like, how did you overcome that?
I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of emotions. How do I overcome that? That's a question I probably still trying to figure out. But to be honest, I had a burning desire that no matter what happened, I'm going to figure this out. I want to, it's not just for me. I guess I want to create financial freedom. Yes, I want to, be the first in my family to be, let's say multimillionaire. But really, I want to set an example for people that we can come from any walk of life. You can go through any failure. And as long as you keep the mindset and push forward and keep it clear, like that's what I really had to battle with my own consciousness. Because there's times and nights where I'm literally sitting there like, fuck, like I'm like, this is not going to work. How am I going to get through? And stressful nights. And all that got me through was my own self-talk. Like telling myself, like, it's going to be all right. There's solutions. This road has been traveled before. So really, it was just building the self-talk because in the beginning it was hard because it wasn't one failure. It was another one, another one, another one, another. So it was like a setback after a setback. And I guess the biggest thing was I never really looked at anything as a failure. I really looked at it as, all right, what did I fail at? All right, and now how can we move that forward? Now we can kind of learn from that failure, walk away with a win. And that also helped push me forward because god damn, it was it was interesting, man. It
Yeah,
was a 4 year stretch of nonstop. It was a 4 year stretch of nonstop.
I could relate to that, bro. And I think it's also a way to think about it too. That's a great, healthy way to think about it, but also a preparation of greater things, right? Because it's not going to
Mm,
necessarily get smoother.
no.
One of the things I tried to do before, of course, it's all constantly evolving. When I would have these negative self-talk moments, would be just break my day, stop what I'm doing, go drive at this particular street in Atlanta that has a perfect view of the skyscrapers, and I'm like, do these people that made this, did they go through a harder time than I did? For sure, yes, they did.
Hell yeah. Yeah. God damn.
So
Yeah,
I could keep
definitely.
pushing.
It humbles you. It humbles you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So what were there other people in your life, brother, that inspired you?
I mean, my father was always a self-made handyman. So he was always one that I mean, he was always working with his hands from day one. He was in construction. So I mean, he really started to instill that, that handyman, don't stop problem solving mind that no matter what came up, I was able to look at it from a different angle, different perspective. So that really helped push me forward. And I come from a divorced family, like at 7 years old, and my mom was a resilient person. Like
Ah,
she was like making no money her whole life, but somehow figured it out no matter what happened. So that was definitely instilled in me growing up from the age of 7 on, where no matter
nice.
what happened in life, I kept pushing. So they were a big push. And really, it was just all these people I started meeting along the way all had that same desire, all had that same fire. Like I really feel that I attracted the people I needed in my life every single time because the people I met were always strong individuals, strong in business, strong backbones, and were able to really steer me rather than just kind of shoot in the dark.
Hmm.
It,
That's badass. Okay. You know, you're kind of making me think of this phrase, and my wife had this growing up by her father too. Of are you really the only one? Um, like, are you really the only one that this is happening to, and you can never overcome it? You know, of course not. Like
Hmm.
people have been through worse things, so we definitely can overcome it. So yeah, man. Okay. Uh, I think that's good for people power. That's awesome. You had a strong father and mother, a resilient mother too. So let's jump into the other part, other people's money or resources. When you think about networking and raising capital, getting contacts for resources like contractors, lawyers, etc., what are some of your techniques and patterns around that?
So what really has always helped me in this space is I was someone that traveled the whole country for networking events. I've been to Vegas, Arizona, Florida, and all over. And why I did this was exactly for what you're speaking about. It's the contacts and the money and the knowledge and going to these places and getting around people. I've always believed that your network was your net worth.
Hmm.
So getting around these other individuals that already were at a level and being able to potentially utilize their capital, utilize their contacts, utilize their network and everything was number one. So I've always found myself traveling, getting into rooms that didn't exist in my town. And this did lead to traveling to that where I ended up finding the mentor was all the way out in Vegas, where they were going to help. What really pulled me there was they were going to take care of all the funding. Like they were 100%. They were a private equity. They were a whole bunch of these guys, and they were going to fund all the business, all the flips, all go so on and so forth. So knowing that I didn't have my own know-how with capital at the time, I knew I needed to do whatever I needed to do to get into the rooms to access it. Because at the end of the day, money is everywhere. It's a tool. It's just, can you access the tool and do you know how to use the tool?
Yeah, that's true. If you think about it, if you drive down a major street, there's probably $1 billion just floating around. A grocery store makes
Yes.
a whole lot of money. Even tiny stores make a whole lot of money per day. A McDonald's, of course, probably 40
There you
grand a
go.
day at a minimum. So it's a matter of reaching the right people associated with business and etc. Um, okay. So what sort of systems do you have in place to kind of, you know, the contacts that you meet, since you said you did sales and a lot of networking, how do you systematize that?
So I was always someone that was like addicted to Excel. Like I always found myself really playing with it. I got very talented at Excel. So I have spreadsheets upon spreadsheets, first name, last name, what they did, how I met them, what they looked like, a snapshot of their photo, as to, to bring the memory back and what the conversation's about, what their interests are, what do they invest in, and so I was able to really build a very complex list, upward of at least 300 contacts easily of so then when I was able to go look at it when I went home or at the end of the event weeks later, I could say, hey, this guy likes to invest in Costco's. Oh, this guy is a hard money flipper. Oh, so on and so forth. And I was able to then utilize this contact list and still hold on to it today and be able to pull from all these contacts and for the rest of my life. So I was always someone to be like, all right, you're going to meet this person once, especially if he's across country. I needed to create a document system to know who they are, what like a whole personality outline. Honestly, is really
Mhm.
what it was. Yeah,
Yeah, there's plenty of money out there in different avenues. I'm surprised you said somebody that invests in Costco's. I never heard of
yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. Someone was very specific. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
a couple of these guys were staples. Like, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And you
Interesting.
never know
Yeah,
how useful that contact could be, because you might come across a piece of land that could be perfect for a Costco, and you're the guy in the middle making money off the commission or etc. Putting the two together. So that could be
absolutely.
$1 million deal. You could be set almost for
It
life.
could
One
could be
Costco
sitting
deal.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That makes me think of a contact you mentioned, and a very unique way you reached out to him. That is pretty bold, of course. You're a bold dude. Tell me about that. Before we started, you mentioned how you reached out to a podcast developer guy, and you just kind of, wanted to collaborate with him, and how you did that, because that could be useful for a beginner.
So I was listening to this podcast. It was actually Brad Lee's podcast, and there was a young developer on there around the same age, and he was just talking about various, $70 million net worth. He's building like 300 homes a year, and just hearing how he had things moving really caught my attention. At the end of the podcast, he ends up giving his his email, right? So at first I was like, all right. Second the podcast stopped, I actually pulled the truck over and I typed out this whole email. That was my first outreach. Was like, all right, let me hit him on the email. Next, I'm starting to search Instagram, search on all the socials, and I come across he just built it. Like you can see, like he must have just built his Instagram because he had this podcast launching. Like it was very at that same time.
Okay.
So I go into his Instagram. I send him a text message. I say, listen, I'll pay you $500. I just want 15 minutes of your time. And I sent it. I just said, let's see what happens. And a day and a half goes by. He actually replies. And goes, listen, you can keep your money. We'll absolutely jump on the phone with you, man. Like, let's definitely figure it out. And that ended up leading to a phone call where that ended up leading him opening the doors to, hey, Joe, if you make it down here, I'll open these doors. I'll help you get into the development. Like this is what it's all about. And it was a really inspiring conversation because he was the same age as me, and he was literally making 10 steps further. And anyone that's trying to reach out, you got to do something that everyone's not doing. You have to do you got to think outside of the box. So that was me thinking outside the box rather than just, hey, can you help? Like that's not going to stick out. Mm-hmm. So a quick $500 commitment showing like, hey, dude, like I'm going to do whatever it takes. Just something a little attention grabbing, and it worked. And it worked.
That's awesome. You didn't even have to like send a video or knock on his door or something. He just responded to an email.
He just responded to an email. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. So you never could think about how easy this could actually be if you want to jump into this sort of stuff. And that led to other collaboration where you learned how to do 20 new construction homes, right?
Yeah, so that led me to finally moving down to Florida with no car. Well, I lived out of my car when I came down here. It was kind of crazy. I came down here with no income plan, no nothing. I said, this developer is doing what I want to do. I want to get around him. So I went down, lived out of my car for 60 days during a hurricane that devastated the whole area. And at the same time, I collaborated with him and started building all these new homes, managing all from the ground up till sale, 20 homes plus. And it was all just being bombarded with all this new knowledge, all this new experience, new people, even his investors. It was just really, it was a life-changing experience.
The audacity you had, bro. The audacity.
Throw it all in.
I hope you had a comfortable car at least. Was it comfy?
Yeah, it was good. It was comfy. Yeah,
okay, good.
I made it work.
Awesome, man. Well, let's move on to the next step, which is natural winning. So I think most people, if they really dig deep and dig into what fulfills them, it's actually things that they actually learn from. So I'm glad you're mentioning all these points that you learned from and all the boldness, all the bold moves you made. Because I think really what fulfills us again is when we lose something and we're able to, in the next approach, be able to adjust the approach. Because if we're just winning all the time, there's no fulfillment there. There was a movie with an astronaut, and they were trying to get another astronaut, and the manager of it all was saying, no, we can't use that other astronaut. She has never lost. All her tests, all her exams, she always wins. So when things go haywire up in space, she's going to have a hard time. She's going to be a liability. Winning. What comes to mind when you think of winning?
So I would think what comes to winning is you can't win until you lose. And that's exactly what you're saying, where a win doesn't necessarily feel like a win if it's been a win after a win after a win. What's really made me so happy about my wins is being able to look back on how many times I've actually lost. And being able to walk away with a lesson every single time. But you need to keep in front of you a big vision.
Mhm.
If you don't have a vision of where you want to go and what you want to achieve, winning or moving forward is a waste of time, because what are you battling towards? What do you move? What's your goal? You have to have a goal so big enough that no matter a failure, no matter you win, it's still not enough. You have to push forward. You have to keep going. So I always keep, like, my how and my why is so big that there's nothing on this planet that's going to ever stop me. It doesn't matter if nothing. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing on this planet. And you must have a large why and a large how, or you're not going to get there. You're gonna feel like you've won and sit back on your loins and say you made it, or you'll hit a few brick walls and say I've given up. If you need to have something that you're reaching for, like, it has to be massive. And for me, like, I see what I will develop is a American Red Cross company that's larger and bigger, that will help aid the whole world with building utilities, building buildings, and going into Africa, South America, and really help building countries in need after devastation. Like, that's what drives me every single day. So until I'm doing that, building wells and giving people food and building houses, I'm not fulfilled. So I must move forward every single day.
Hallelujah, bro! Giving me goosebumps over here. That was awesome. I feel like running up and down some pews right now. Awesome. I love it. I know you're enjoying that content, but I just wanted to personally invite you to the Commonwealth Affordable Housing Fund. If you want to passively earn while also building communities, doing philanthropy even, while getting quarterly distributions and even sharing in the exit about 5 years down the line, then please join us. This used to just be for friends and family, but you could join in now. You could be essentially earning through an expert, which is I, running the investment firm Commonwealth. So if you want to be a part of it, and also get access to exclusive events where we go to in-progress construction and I show you how your money is being used actively, and how the renovation was just complete, and how this is going to help change people's lives, how we negotiate an acquisition. So you could be a part of those events throughout the year and also earn passively. So if you want to be a part of that, please click the link below and I'll let you back to your awesome content. Thanks. So let's go ahead and jump into enjoying, man. How do you enjoy your life and what you've created for yourself?
All right. Well, basically, I enjoy every moment, because I'm still working. I'm still building. I'm a nonstop personal developer. So I take all of my attention and just keep developing self, whether it's in meditation, whether it's in books, whether it's nonstop development. And as I see myself carry myself better, like my character, the way I'm speaking better, and the way I start to communicate better, those are like how I really celebrate and really look into it. Because I'm like, all right, I'm becoming the version of myself that I know I need to be in order to hit the goals that I want to hit. So how I really do it is just I invest all my time into personal development. And I hit the gym every single day because I need to get that rush of energy. But besides that, it's just personally developing. Really, that's every day.
Yeah, same here, bro. In the months leading, actually years leading up to my job, I got rid of liabilities. Like, I had a 1980 Corvette that was a bottomless pit, and I was like, this is not advancing anything I want to do. I mean, I still got other future nice cars, but like there were not as much liabilities. Um, but I agree with you what you say, man. Like when I talk about finance, or think about finance, I also want to, when I get a big chunk of change, I'm like, how could I spend this into like a return on investment, emotionally, financially, of course, more for my investors, or return on investment, of course, too, etc. So okay, you mentioned a little point there. I remember in your email to me, you mentioned that you start at 3 a.m. Was it a workout every day?
I wake up at 3 a.m. every single day.
Okay.
And that leads into a meditation mindfulness session where I'm just completely grateful and just getting real centered. That's how I start my day. I journal and I really just center my whole day. And by 4:30 a.m., I'm in the gym. And that's how I start every single day, 7 days a week. Not no Sunday break. No, 7 days a week. And I count all my macros. I watch what comes in and I watch what goes out.
That's a good
Like
point
my
too,
more
man. Well, what doesn't get measured doesn't get done, right?
absolutely 100%.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to do better about journaling at night. I noticed when I do that, and I leave my phone out in the living room, like it's like I sleep a lot better, first of all, and then
Hmm.
my brain is a whole lot clearer to be able to note down the things that are actually important. So I had a little
Hmm.
notepad next to my nightstand, and I write stuff down. I might annoy my wife sometimes in the middle of the night. Oh, I gotta write this.
No, it's absolutely a great exercise. It really will propel you forward and keep pushing you because it allows your brain to now think about different things because you're getting that thought down. It's
Yes.
saved. You can move on to the next thing. But it also boosts creativity. There's so and the chemicals that are created in the mind when you're focusing and writing is asked. Oh man, it goes in so deep. It creates your whole day. It creates a vibration inside you that's a pretty much a godlike vibration that you're unstoppable. You're
Yeah.
unstoppable. We've been writing for since the start of time on walls with paint. Like it goes back from day one. Like this is something that needs to be done. Like it's important.
Yeah. And if we're real with ourselves, this is a thought controller, not a thought
Yes,
maker.
100. It's a programmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Fair
keep that
enough.
in mind if you want to focus in real estate investing as you're listening and watching. You got to keep focus. Um,
Focus.
and so we're pretty much at our last section, bro. This has been awesome so far. The reserve section. There's lots of different types of reserve. There's financial, emotional, um, investor reserve, property reserves. What's one that comes to mind, and what sort of tidbits could you share on that?
So all earned income, I believe, needs to go into a residual income. Like a reserve. You got to reserve your cash. Everything you make, you just don't want to stack it and just let it rot in the bank. I take all of my money and push them towards passive investments. So for me, I like big multifamily complexes. I like doors. I like scale. I like things that are just a little bit more protected from the vacancy rates. So I like to reserve all my cash into big multifamily investments. And that's something that's not going away. Rent is going to be around for a whole bunch of years. And if you're trying to protect your money, and you're trying to reserve for wealth and you're trying to build a legacy, real estate is the best vehicle out there.
Indeed, and that makes me think of vetting or boundary reserve too. So I was at Crate and Barrel the other day, and I'm a big interior decorator. Looks like you are too. So 5 years ago, I would have probably bought several items, but I was like, I don't need any of this stuff if I really ask myself truly. Um, and so when it comes to like vetting and boundary reserves, I think that's also a value in building up to being real with yourself of like, oh man, I'm making an emotional decision to buy
Fair
this
enough.
or do that. Like what sort of thoughts do you have on that?
Yeah, you can't just throw money at everything. You definitely gotta be very cautious of what you're doing. It's nothing's a risk if you do enough calculations. So, right.
Mm,
So as long as you take a calculated risk, it's not a risk. It's risky to make the decision, sure, because it could be frightening. But if you did enough research, you did enough study, it can be you could minus and mitigate the risk.
mhm.
So with anything that I'm going to purchase, I just make sure it doesn't matter whether it's a car, whether what does it fix the tax code, like whatever I'm purchasing, where's the upside? Am I just burning my money on fire? Is this a complete waste, or is this going to pay me back? Is this going to fuel me in a certain way? Development, personality, fuel, food, and investment. So I reserve the things that I notice that are just pure waste, especially in the early stages of being into real estate, into business. You need to really watch because it's easy to careless spend. We're growing up in a society where things are thrown at us like left and right. It's easy just to go purchase something. It's easy to have shiny ball syndrome. Easy to feel like you only live once, just go do it. You have to slow yourself down and really take a look at the decision, the investment, the purchase. Is this going to push you further? Is it just enjoyment? Now, enjoyment could be good. You have to have a level for that. That fits. But you need to be aware of on the grand scheme where you want to go, and how fast is this going to set you back or push you forward?
Yeah. So you could just stop listening to the YOLO song by Drake also. You only live once
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned something. Sorry to bring you back into the pain portion, but I think people could learn a lot from this. So beginners could learn from what you've learned. So let's bring it back for a second. The mentorship thing that happened. Do you think, now that we're talking about vetting and boundaries, what would you recommend a beginner do when they're exploring, giving money to a mentor and what, like, where I'm getting at?
Yes. So I believe having a coach, having a mentor in your life is going to propel you. It's going to take away all of the trips and screw ups. And I knew this from day one. If you're trying to get ahead, you need to invest into someone that already has been down the road that you want to travel. Because if you start to travel that road, it's inevitable you're going to trip and stumble and fall. But why not invest into someone that's already been down this road, who is where you want to go, who knows the path? That's where you want to put your attention and your money. Now, when you're vetting these people, do you guys vibe in energy? Do you think the same way? Do you feel and look at life the same way? Because you got to really think, you're investing into them. So you need to make sure that you are connecting with that individual on all different levels. Do they have the same investment goals that you do? Is it, and if they do, then do they have the same personality goal? Because what you really do, you're investing to them. They are going to be your coach, your father, your mother, your mentor. Like, they are an extension now of your life. You're investing with them. So you really want to find someone that you really vibe with, and that you could trust, that has credibility, that just is, that's not just the shiny ball syndrome, but can show you the ins and outs of what they do, and they're fully transparent. When you find that, you go all in. Go all in on it, because that is going to push you tenfold. Every single time I invested into a coach or a mentor, it's pushed me forward. Now, yes, granted, I did have one where I invested $70,000 into a real estate mentor, and months later the company failed. But I was 100% sold on the idea, the person, the thought. It's really just all back end stuff that didn't work out. But my choice to go for it, I was sold. It made sense. The money was there. They were going to fund it. They were going to go over all my deals. They were going to do everything. They were going to get contractors. It was just everything that needed to be done. And I knew if I wanted to get to point A to point B the fastest, what's the fastest way? In a straight line. Who's going to get you the fastest in a straight line? A coach that's walked the path that you're trying to walk. Yes. So fail or not, you need to look for someone that's been down the road that you've been, and just follow in their footsteps and invest into them, to have them invest into you.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's a mature way that you looked at it too. Would you have specific questions that you would ask a potential mentor, or like, would you have a specific, I have an expectation that you give me your cell phone if I ever need an emergency reach out or something?
So having that real close contact is nice. So that was one of the things that I was able to have in this mentorship. Now, it was a substantial pay. You're going to pay for someone's time, especially a coach. If a coach is going to give you full access, open communication, that's value. So you must put that up on the tier. And now also it's value now for him, and it's also value for you, because now you have direct communication with, if any question comes up, with anything that comes, like, boom, the answer is right there. So if you're trying to go fast, you're trying to go right, direct line of communication with your mentor is going to be the way to go. You know, sure, you can work on the back end where you meet once or twice a week. That will work. That will work. But if you're really trying to run fast and you want every answer answered, having that one-on-one communication, an open line of communication really pushes you forward. And for the let's say the student on the other end, it instills confidence because it's like if you're going to give me that line of communication and now I feel like I'm not all here alone, I feel like I actually have someone in the sticks in the mud with me. It makes you feel confident as, all right, I'm ready to invest. You're going to be here all the time. I'm ready to go.
Yes, indeed. And those sorts of statements made me think of forget what book it was from, but basically it was implying that cheap or free doesn't get anything done. Like there's no urgency to do something if you paid $1 for a product, right? What are you
Fair
gonna
enough.
lose? Like you'll make that up in a second. So I personally have spent, probably close to 100,000 over the last several years too, in coaching and mentorship, probably more conferences because I love
Hmm.
networking like you. Uh, but yeah, man, it's valuable and it gets you into rooms that, bigger people also that you wouldn't be able to buy just being able to, or you can't buy because it's free if you go to a free meeting. It's going to be
Hmm.
more so beginners trying to learn the game as opposed to developers like you bet that are doing 10 $50 million deals and
Hmm.
a $1 million deal is laughable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So
fair enough.
it's really cool to have meet those sorts of people and they're surprisingly pretty friendly.
They are. They are. They're if not friendlier, honestly.
um, okay, well, bro, we just finished the last section. Is there any last tidbits you want to share with folks?
I mean, if for anyone that's watching this, if you're on this journey as a beginner, don't stop. I never have, and if you don't stop, you're inevitably going to get there. So just don't let off the gas. Make strategic moves. Make the right decision. Get with the right people. Network. Get a coach, and cut out as much mistakes as you can by investing in someone else who's already done it, and just go all in. Once you start, don't stop. The only people who will fail in this life are the people who stop.
Indeed. The people that stop and give up. They're like,
Stop and give up.
this is hard. This is
No,
difficult.
is that my point exactly?
Well, bro, this has been amazing. What sort of stuff are you being involved in nowadays, and how could people get involved with you?
So right now, I'm invested in, like I said, personal development in a way where I'm taking what I've learned at this point and I want to help instill it in other people. I want to light the fire under other people. I want to give people the way to keep pushing. So I'm helping with the mindset right now. I'm helping with the mind and body. Like I have been developed to where I just want to help people get to the next level, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and then let them build the man who they want to be to go push to the dreams they want to go. Invest in the next big thing. Go for your dreams, and that's what pushes me every single day. Now people fuel me, and everything from there. I'm happier and fulfilled every single day now because making other people's dreams come true and being that person that can help do that. It's been a life send. It's so really it's been the things and the trials and tribulations I've been through helped me now be able to look at the world and life from a different perspective. And I just really want to offer that to other people to have them keep pushing, keep fighting, don't stop. And really, you can reach me on my Instagram, is where I'm mostly active at Joseph J. Carter, all one word. And I'm just growing and learning there every single day. And you can come along for the journey. And I'm here to support you in any way that I can.
Beautiful, man. I love your motivational spirit. Hey, I know you help people, but could you motivate my potbelly pig to cuddle with me more?
That's good. Just gotta bring maybe don't show them so much bacon all the time. I don't know.
So try to diversify your service line to animals, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds good.
Okay. So reach out to this great brother here. He's got a great spirit, great work he's doing, and just a boldness for life. So Thanks for watching or listening to From Tech Developer to Real Estate Developer. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of From Tech Developer to Real Estate Developer. I hope you got a lot of return on investment for your time today, and I encourage you to share it with other people so that they could also get returns with this valuable education to invest in real estate. We're also sharing this free education because we want to help people learn how to invest so that they could also create more affordable housing units. We have a great goal of creating 2.5 million affordable housing units by 2047, and free education like this is a big part of that. So by you sharing, you are a part of the equation to create those affordable housing units. So I can't wait to see the end of the road that we're going to achieve together. Have an amazing and blessed day.